Hi, everybody. It's good to see you. Welcome to Cosmic Compass Conversation. I'm here with Jenna from Santa Cruz Mountain Reiki, and we're going to get started in a moment, but we're going to give you the full experience of Tea and Tarot as we were just talking before the recording started that we started in 2020. And of course, for those of you who have known me a long time, I started doing Tea and Tarot in my home. My gosh, I don't even know when, maybe 2014, 2015. So, and then we just, switched over the years into this format. So there's a lot of weather. And those of you that are listening later, we're hoping that the wind does not take out any major aspects of this, but we'll see how it goes. It's a wild and woolly day in many parts of the world and the country in many, many different ways, just to get a little Saturn serious, as I like to call it. But first, we're going to breathe together. So I'm going to invite everyone to join me who wants to. Again, it's an invitation. And just finding a settled place in yourself. If you're busy doing other things, just bringing your awareness in just for a moment. We're just going to breathe into the belly, exhaling through the mouth. And if you're just lowering your gaze, bringing your awareness into your belly, breathing in. Exhaling through your mouth. On your next inhale breath, breathing deep into the belly. On your exhale, relaxing your jaw and your shoulders. On the next inhale, feeling the earth rising up to meet you and breathing in that beautiful earth grounded energy. And exhaling. And one more time, just breathing in that earth energy, that support. Expanding your belly. And exhaling. One more time, breathing in deep into the belly. And exhaling. Beautiful. So as we all come together, I could probably do that for another hour, just deep into that. As we're all coming together today, today's focus really is going to be on the tarot. We do know that Mercury's retrograde, so we're aware of that. We're also very aware of all the other energies that are presenting themselves currently. So we won't talk a lot of astrology today unless it comes up, in the midst of the session and in the reading. So first and foremost, I want to introduce my guest. A lot of you already know Jenna Shaffer from Santa Cruz Mountain Reiki. Jenna, thank you for joining me. I met Jenna back in 2019. And immediately we made that connection. As you all know, there's that connection that happens when you meet a soul that is on a similar path and meant to be a part of our paths together. So, Jenna, is there anything you'd like to say as an introduction to yourself? You're going to have to unmute first. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
good.
yeah, thank you. Well, like first of all, thank you for having me again. And it's good to see familiar names and faces. I think that as an introduction to myself, I think for all of those who don't know me, I was a student of Denise's first, and still am very much so, and really excited for what I'm learning with you right now. And I met Denise at my bachelorette party. So I think it's always fun to share those little anecdotes. So um, Denise just, I was really ready to dive into the spiritual and the mystical, and I had no community or really know where to start. And I just felt really connected to the way that Denise delivered the information and held the space, as I know all of you know she's so amazing at doing. So that's that's where we met, and that's where we started. And I was just like, teach me everything. Like, I'm a sponge. Like,
You
I'm
are
soaking it
amazing.
in.
Yeah.
So we started with tarot, and I was so intimidated by it because I didn't want to mess it up, you know? And I read so many books of like, here, you have to keep your tarot deck in a box and you got to season it. And like, there's just like all of these steps. And I think that there's something to say for the respect and the sacredness of those rituals. And at the same time, I was like, where, I don't want to mess this up. Feels like something I could mess up, and I didn't want to do that. And long story short, you taught me a very intuitive way of working with the cards that has helped me learn, deliver messages, discern what my intuition is, and it's become a really valuable tool on my in my life, and then just on my path of self discovery and self understanding. So thank you for that. And now we're here doing
Yeah.
tarot, tarot. Um,
I know.
I
I'm
say
working on
tarot now,
I
but
know.
um,
Tarot, tarot, potato, potato,
yeah,
tomato,
right.
tomato, right? Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's where we, and then it was, I think, really grounding and supportive for me personally to do it during 2020 when just like everything was up in the air.
Right.
And just continuing to do that
Mhm.
now
Mhm.
feels really special.
It is so special. And I will say, because Jenna's very modest, Jenna is an excellent tarot and tarot reader. um, no, in truth, Jenna, your skills are on point, and I think they always have been, because when we teach from that intuitive place and we open up the channels, there's really not any way to be wrong. This
Right.
is the key, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the way and again, we're looking at it with there's a lot of Jungian psychology that's been blended into modern tarot and modern astrology, for instance, with evolutionary astrology. Um, Understanding that we are not separate from our intuition, we're not separate from our thoughts, we're not separate from the universe, that we're all part of this. Cards, particularly ones, and again, it doesn't have to be perfectly beautiful art, but art that speaks to us, right? Speaks to our body, mind, heart, soul, will help us find our way into interpretation for us. Now, it's interesting. So now we're going to add another deeper level on here. Reading for others.
Mhm.
That's always a big question. Okay, yeah, it's one thing, right, to read for yourselves, and it's another thing to read for another. So here on Cosmic Compass, whenever I pull the cards, I'm always asking people to read for themselves. What do you see? What do what do you notice? When you're doing a reading for someone else, this is where it gets very interesting. And do you want to say a couple things? Because you have been doing this now solidly for 3 years. What would you like? I mean, just a little nugget you could share about your own process in reading.
Sure.
Yeah.
Um, my tarot readings are a conversation.
Mhm.
They're a conversation. They're not like a finite
Mhm.
prediction.
Right.
So, I do have clients who are very skeptical, and so they come in and they're just like, okay, and I honor that skepticism and discerning. I want that. I want
Yeah.
everyone to hold their discernment, um, up front.
Yeah.
So people are like, okay, well, like, what does it mean? And I'm like, well, like, let's let you bring that in, because I can tell you what the cards mean, and I can tell you traditionally what they mean. I can tell you what I'm intuiting and I'm seeing. But it's kind of like that analogy of leading the horse to water, but like you can't make them drink. Like I can only, you know, I want you to arrive at those answers,
Mhm.
and be empowered to arrive at those answers. I think empowerment would be
Mhm.
the single word,
Yeah.
when I'm doing that's my single word intention when I'm
Yes.
doing tarot readings,
Mhm.
because everybody does have their intuition
Mhm.
accessible to them, and everybody does have the ability to intuit the cards. And
Yes.
I love watching it unfold. That's like
Yes.
one of my favorite parts of the reading.
Yes. Yes. I know that sometimes some of us have offered where we'll pull cards and we'll send an email to people because, like, different times playing with different ways to read cards for people. Um, that's always been an interesting little thing to work with. Again, I appreciate what you're saying about it being a conversation or a dialogue. Even in the email format, there's still an engagement in the
Yeah.
question, right?
Yeah. And I always say, like, here's what I'm seeing,
Right.
here's what I'm seeing. Um, and that's open ended. So I
Yeah.
always also say, like, it could mean this, it could
Yeah.
also mean this, like, which one is like drawing you, like
Mhm.
which ones,
Mhm.
um, because you are the person in your life. You
Yeah.
are the one, not
Right.
me.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. It's, again, I want to be mindful that there are lots of different ways to do this, and we don't want to make anyone wrong, bad, whatever.
No, not
Um,
at all. Yeah.
and there are styles that don't work for me personally. And Jenna and I both have experienced situations where we were told this is what's going to happen or this is what's happening. Now, is there an energy that is potentially accurate in there? Perhaps, but it's in the way something is delivered. And so for any of you that are thinking about like how you might use tarot for your friends or potentially even for your own work and for your business, there's a blend of really good coaching that goes into an excellent tarot reading. It's not just telling someone, divining the future. I think that is so important to remember. Any other thoughts on that, Jenna?
Yeah. I think for me, I'm not interested in, um, positioning myself as somebody who knows
Mhm.
something that you can't know yourself.
Mhm.
And so I start every session very much with that, I guess, disclaimer of, I'm not going to tell you anything that you don't already know
Mhm.
somewhere inside of you. So, and I believe that to my core. Like, I'm
Mhm.
not going, this isn't going to be like, I mean, it might facilitate or activate a breakthrough. It
Mhm.
might facilitate or
Mhm.
activate this thing, but it's already there. And I
Mhm.
believe the seed is already
Mhm.
planted there.
Mhm. Yeah,
And so it's just supporting you in arriving at that, um,
agreed.
aha yourself.
Yes, exactly. Um, Thank you for that. I wanted to just share something quickly about why I use tarot when I'm struggling with something. It helps me clear my mind of all the thoughts that have been coming in and helps me have a different perspective. So I know people want answers. I want answers. Who doesn't want answers? I want to know everything's going to be okay. Ultimately, is everything going to be okay? Well, yes and no. I mean, that life continues. So the reason I use it, and I think you're saying the same thing, Jenna, is that it's allowing me to access that deeper truth within myself, allowing me to access that intuition that's connected to something greater, right? So last night I was doing a little reading for myself because I do that. I do that fairly frequently because I need to clear and I want to see what I need to see. So I'm not going to share the whole thing with you, and I won't even show you the cards because I don't want to diminish what we're going to do today. But it was interesting. The first card was what I was asking about. And it was just this really powerful energy. And I was like, oh yeah. The second card was how I was feeling about it, which wasn't so was a little more, it was the tower card. So it was a little more, like that. And then the last card is my least favorite. of the entire deck, which will remain nameless right now in case it comes up today. I'm going to put them in here and they're going in and I'm mixing them in there so they don't necessarily come out. But I was like, oh my God, my least favorite card. What does that mean? So what it did is it took me on a journey. It took me on a journey of self-inquiry, self-reflection, and did it tell me what was going to happen? Actually, yes, it did in some way actually share a path of unfolding. So I'll say that much. It was interesting. This is a good question. When you're pulling for others, how do you ask the question? Verbal, visual, energetic, all of the above. I guess I want to ensure my stuff is not in there. Yes. And yes, a lot of people usually have other people pull their own card, but that doesn't work at a distance. Do you want to take that question first, Jenna?
Um, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a separate deck for my clients
Mhm.
and others.
Mhm.
Then I don't use this deck on myself.
Mhm.
So the energy is when I'm clearing the energy after each client,
Mhm.
I'm clearing the energy of the cards, and
Mhm.
that does help. There are decks that I've
Absolutely.
tried to use for myself that just don't read for me.
Mhm.
And I know that sounds weird, maybe,
Mhm.
but that's the best way I can describe it. So
Yeah.
that's number one. Number two, being I do a lot of like prep work before each session
Mhm.
to be as grounded as possible and to set the intention. Everything I do is intention based. So
Mhm.
I'm setting the intention to step aside
Mhm.
and just be with
Mhm.
what I'm receiving.
Yeah.
And then also not give myself some grace. You
Mhm.
can usually in the session, at least for me, I can feel when my stuff's kind of bleeding in and go, okay, we're gonna reshuffle. We're gonna
Mhm.
we're just gonna reset. And so just giving yourself some grace, like it's nothing's ever perfect.
Right.
And this work is definitely deeply intuitive.
Right.
And so I'll just reshuffle and just reshuffle and just Denise knocks on the cards.
Mhm.
I have another teacher who like blows on the cards to just kind of
Mhm.
clear it out.
Mhm.
So you
Mhm.
kind of find your own tool
Mhm.
for resetting. But
Mhm.
if you see, I hope that answers the question. But like if you see that kind of coming in, you can just reset in the moment.
Mhm.
And then having people pull their own cards and working at a distance, I totally get that. Like they're not physically there to touch it, right?
Mhm.
So I just say their name. I just
Mhm.
keep saying their name,
Yep.
and then
Exactly.
that just kind of that's always worked for me. So
I love that. And I guess the only thing I would add all of that. And when I'm asking the question, she asked, is it visual, verbal, how to it for me, it just really, if the person has a question, I will ask them to hold that question in their heart and not speak it out loud at first. Because I want to get the cards in as clean as possible, right? Like just what's coming from that place. So just holding it in the heart. And then I'll probably have more questions come verbally. If I'm doing it for someone else and there's not a particular question, I do it's very similar to what you're doing. I say the person's name. And what I do is if I know where they are, I geographically find them. I know it sounds we're getting into that. We always say this. I know this sounds a little weird, but right, we're all here talking about this. It's not that
right,
way. All right.
right.
It's
I
almost
have to
like
remind myself of that.
I astral travel to that person to be in their energy for that moment while the card is coming. So when, it's a moment. It's just, yeah, you want to say something.
I was thinking about this, and the other thing, if for any Reiki practitioners in the room, like there's an actual symbol for um, removing space and time so that you can be doing
Mm-hmm.
distance
See?
Reiki. So you can
Yeah.
do that symbol if you would like on the cards or
Mm-hmm.
before the session to really just be in the room with the person.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
exactly. See, I
and
did
they're just
not know that, but that
so
makes
you're doing
sense
it already.
already. That totally makes sense. So when we're doing this, so just kind of, now we're actually going to get into it. When we're doing this, Jenna and I have both set our protections. Now we've talked about this in the past, but I want to talk about this again. Protection doesn't mean that we're fearful of anything. Protection means we're setting a boundary for the energy that we would like to have join us in the highest and best way, that be the only energy present in the field, right? So it's still open, but it's, there's a boundary there. Protection also means things we don't want stays out. End of story. Now, coming back to what you said at the beginning, Jenna, is very important. Ritual is an important thing. And I tend not to do a whole lot of it because I think it's just in all the time. Like I think after 30 years, there's just this general energy of it's here. And when you're starting, not a bad idea, right? Like you do. It's like you do what you do to get ready. You take your time, you energetically set the field. Sometimes I don't know, Jenna and I both, we have crystals all over the place. They're everywhere. So we are surrounded by them. We may or may not mention them, but we know they're there. We have guides and energies and beings who work with us. And for those of you that asked, we don't always know, I guess I can't speak for Jenna, but I don't always know who they are. Sometimes they reveal themselves, sometimes they don't. But I trust because I've set the field up with the energetic protection that those who come in are only of the highest and best. Those who are not allowed in. Period. End of story. And that's my Capricorn South Node adamantly makes sure that happens. So that's just part of what we do. Do you want to add to that, Jenna?
I mean, you taught me that.
Oh,
So
I
I
did?
feel
Okay.
like,
Oh, good
yeah.
for me.
So what I do, you do. What you do, I do.
Okay, great. Good. I'm
Because
glad I taught you that. Good for
yeah,
me. Yeah.
you did always. And the more that I did, like the psychic development or the mediumship work,
Mhm.
um, I did a course on that. And it's always, that's really the start. That's
Yeah.
the beginning of it. And I don't think it hurts to just continue to do it. It's
Yeah.
become almost
Yeah.
habitual at this point for me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just
And
constant. It's how we live.
yeah, and there's different rituals, for me doing tarot with somebody versus me doing Reiki with somebody. I have different
Mhm.
um kind of set the stage. I set
Mhm.
the stage differently.
Mhm.
So I do different
Mhm.
rituals based
Yeah.
on what I'm doing. And it's very somatically peaceful for
Mhm.
me as well
Mhm.
as
I love
energetically
that.
speaking.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I really enjoy it.
And
I do. I really enjoy the rituals of it all.
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I'm just laughing to myself that there's always these memes that go around like on Instagram, probably on TikTok, but I don't use TikTok, but where I just laugh where people are, making fun of themselves for all the rituals that we do and all the crystals that we pack in our bags, which we don't maybe bring them all, but you know what I'm saying? When we
Yeah.
travel, I mean, this is a well-known story now at this point, but these cards are round. They have a nice pouch. They are my reading cards. I bring them with me when I travel because you never know, right? Every time. Security. They have to search my bag. And I love it. I particularly love it when it's a man. No offense out there, but particularly love it when it's a man with these particular cards because it's mostly naked women. Like for instance, you know, um, I particularly love it when they open them up and they pull them out. They still really don't know what they are. So they start looking through them and then they pull something like that, right? And then they like put them away really fast. They look really nervous. And then I have to clear them again. This is the thing. Yeah.
Tarot
Yes.
surprise adventure. Oh my
That's
god.
great. I love that. I love that. That's
That's
so
so
good.
good.
Tarot Surprise Adventure, TSA. I love it. That's great. Anyway, but so the last time I traveled, when I went to San Antonio, I thought, okay, I have a small version of this deck. in a box. It's in a box. It's square. No, it didn't work. Same. But this time they had to fumble through the box and open the box and then go through the cards. So I'm like, okay. All right. Speaking of cards, and then we really are going to do this. And by the way, I put these away, so now I have to take them back out. So we're going to do a raffle at the end, and we're going to raffle off an entry to the Tea and Tarot workshop, which is in January on a particular day.
13th, I believe.
13th, right? It's on a particular day. It's on the 13th. It's on a Saturday. We'll set up more information about that. So we're gonna raffle off an entry to that. And then I just happen to have a little mini pocket version of the Light Seers Tarot to raffle off also, which I will mail to whoever wins. It's a travel pack, but I can't guarantee what will happen if you take it with you. That's all I'm going to say. All right. All right, Jenna, you ready? I bet you're more than ready. You're like, Denise, we've talked for 27 minutes. What are we doing? Okay.
No,
Yeah.
I'm Italian. I'll talk all day.
I was watching my video from the workshop that we put together for Embody the Year. And I'm watching the video and this is all I see. I'm like, wow, I really talk with my hands. I had no idea. Because, I don't really notice it. I mean, it's just what I do.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, clearly I do the same.
I'm not Italian, but I do it anyway. Okay. So I'm
Honorarily.
gonna pull an anchor card. So what I'm doing is I do knock to cleanse and clear, both energetically, physically, all of the above. For the collective, I'm imagining all of you plus all of our community plus anybody else who might. And when I say imagining, that means I'm bringing in the energy. I'm inviting, offering, honoring. And I'm pulling an anchor card. This is the anchor card for this particular reading for the collective. Oh, it's my favorite card, Jenna. It's our favorite card. Our favorite card.
Is that like sarcastic? I knew it was the tower. I knew it.
No, actually, I'm getting used to this card. I mean, this is actually a very powerful card, and I love, there's two versions. This one and the Light Seers Tarot that I absolutely adore these versions.
Yep.
I
do too.
So the way Jenna and I do this when we do this together is I always ask Jenna, what do you notice? What do you see? And then she responds with some profound insight.
I notice, you know what I'm thinking about the most, honestly, Denise, is how we pulled that so much in 2020.
Yeah.
And how we pulled it for 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking about what's different. I'm thinking about what's the same or unaddressed still. I'm thinking about who I am as a person now versus who I am, who I was in 2020, what I've learned about myself, what journey I've taken.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking about how much power I feel like I've reclaimed since that point in my life, mm-hmm. and how the Tower card really did catapult me into a lot of self-reflection.
Mm-hmm. So would it be fair to say that the Tower card is an awakening card in many ways?
Yes.
Yeah, it might be.
Yes.
I'd like everyone to just consider what it, again, the energy in that card is very powerful in and of itself. So, it's pretty straightforward. You can see it even if it's not in focus.
Denise,
yeah, I like that.
Curious about that eclipse. I'm thinking about also, like, I'm really drawn to that eclipse in imagery.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious if you remember what eclipses were in 2020, like what energy do you remember? Like,
I don't remember. I mean, I could look back and see them. I think the thing that I'm thinking about, it wasn't an eclipse though, was that day, January 12th, when so many planets came together along with the full moon. They were opposite the full moon. It's not an eclipse, but I'm just remembering that day on January 12th, 2020, and how I'd been speaking to that for the whole year prior. And in terms of this reading for this week, we don't have an eclipse, but the eclipse energy, and this is a good reminder for all of us, that the most recent eclipses we had, so we always have a series of them in the year. The most recent ones we had, and you do full moon, I do new moon, and there've been eclipses on both. That energy is still unfolding.
Yeah.
And there was some very challenging things that happened around some of those eclipses globally,
Yeah.
particularly in October. And
Yes.
what I want to say about that is if this card is an anchor card and it's reminding us to go back a bit and just remember what has happened and how things are unfolding, that's one aspect of it. And then as was said in the chat, 100% agree with that, because I, just having done the embody the year ahead workshop and all of that, that is absolutely right. Power. How are we going to embody power? What is our relationship with power?
You
Super
know
important.
what's so funny, Denise, is I did an entire month just on the word power in 2020
Ah,
in my Patreon. Like we just,
I
so each
remember
month we
that.
unpacked a word that could be
Mhm,
potentially
mhm.
sticky.
Yeah.
And power was one of them. And it was one of the first ones that we unpacked. And I did like all sorts of journal prompts and just
Mhm.
rituals and all sorts of things around power. So that's coming to my mind too right now as we're
Mhm.
talking.
That's awesome. And yeah, and when you get to that part of the workshop, you'll see that is very similar. I think you spent a lot more time because you had a month to unpack the word. But
Yeah.
there's a few things that I offer to people to consider. And even in the recorded version, the online version, we left out everybody else's comments and everybody else's responses because privacy. But there is still just enough to generate this reminder for all of us for 2024 of what is our relationship with the word? What is our relationship to our own power? What is our relationship to what we feel around it? This card is really good. I think it goes backwards and forwards. So as an anchor card, yay. We're so lucky.
Hmm.
Okay. All right, Jenna, you're up next.
So four cards flew out,
Okay.
two at the same time.
Oh, cool. Like
So
twins.
twins. So it's the Three of Pentacles.
Ooh, ooh, loving. Okay,
Okay.
beautiful. Hmm.
And the Tower card.
Ah, are you kidding me?
No.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're just pausing.
Yeah.
Like, can you put that tower card a little closer? I want to see that particular tower card. That's a little more traditional,
Yeah, it sure is.
but I do like the arabesque feeling of the person floating off the tower there. That's
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that one.
yeah, that's lovely.
It's like a little more of a dive into water. Let's just
Yes,
say that.
exactly. 100%. Those people are just doing absolutely amazing, conscious diving into the pool of water.
Yeah.
100%. Okay. All right. Okay, so now what we do is we offer this to you to just sit with for a moment. You're welcome. Sit with this for a moment and just what do you notice? What do you notice? What do you feel? Okay, so now we just have three cards. Two towers.
Hmm.
Okay. So I love the first, well, I love them both actually, but the Three of Pentacles is like the Three of Discs in this deck. Um, that's a beautiful representation. I feel like that's what we're doing right now, in
Yeah.
a way, gathering in circles. And one thing that I keep recommending for next year is that we gather in more circles. That's part of what's happening. So I usually, when we do tarot and cosmic compass, I don't usually say a lot, but this is different. This is tea and tarot. So one of the things that Jenna and I do is we talk about this. Oh yeah, Can you say
Oh,
what deck?
yes. This is my best deck to booklet, in my humble opinion. I still think we need the Angelus Arian book on the ready, but it's the Moonchild Tarot by Danielle Noel. Worth every cent.
Exactly. Yeah, totally aligned on that. So as we deepen into this this reading, right? This creation of celebratory circles.
Mhm.
And I want to just say, I want to kind of bring in the astrology of the moment, just for a moment. Pluto at the end of Capricorn moving into Aquarius. If there is anything that seems to represent Tower card and the Three of Pentacles, that would be it for me. Just that idea of Pluto saying we need the old structures to crumble. We need to let go of what isn't working. We need to let go of all of this and move more into this beautiful collaborative energy, celebratory energy, aliveness, all the things that one might put into that card. It just feels very much like that. Like, okay, Pluto, we hear you, transformation, right? One thing about this tarot, this particular deck, and also about this representation, she's holding the lightning. We all are empowered. And in this story, she's giving people the lightning so they have fire so that civilization can continue.
Yeah.
So there is this narrative weaving itself around how are we going to keep going? What do we need to bring into this next stage? Right?
Yeah,
Anyway, okay, you have more cards.
I do. I do. And I'm also like, for the first time, really looking at like the inside here.
Uh-huh.
Like there's still lightning inside there, but
Mhm.
it's different than the
Yeah,
outside. There's like
very much so.
potential there,
Yeah.
I feel like. So for whatever that's worth.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next card is the Chariot.
Ooh, nice representation. So we just pause and we just let you be with that energy.
Yeah.
Are there any horses in that chariot card? They're
Um,
off camera.
Traditionally speaking, but no, it looks like there's Isis on the Chariot in this one.
Nice.
Um, right? Like I don't know if you can see that down here.
Oh yeah, cool. Very Egyptian.
Yeah,
Okay.
she definitely likes Egyptian imagery.
Yeah, so there's definitely this energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's too far of a stretch to say that woman looks very empowered.
No, that's she's like not at all worried.
Not at all. I'm loving the comments here.
Mm.
Um, we've got another
Brittany
Vicky
has the
Noble.
horses covered. Yeah.
Yeah, Brittany has horse. I love it. We have another Vicky Noble fan here. Thank you. Building the Church of the Goddess. That's the three of Pentacles or the Three of Discs. With the Chariot, it's movement, right? It's movement forward and it's also stillness. And I think that's what she captured in this illustration. Without the horses, you're reminded of the stillness and the
Mm-hmm.
stepping into feeling empowered so that we're not running forward all the time, right? Yeah. Any other thoughts on your side, Jenna?
I'm really appreciating like behind her is the darkness. Like behind her is this like cosmic
Oh, yeah,
portal
that's
of
cool.
sorts.
Yeah.
Um, but then here it's like very grounded,
Hmm.
So I feel
Hmm.
like there is that energy of like possibility,
Hmm.
but it's also the shadow. It's the only
Hmm.
dark part of the entire,
Yeah.
you know, aside from her hair, but
Hmm.
I'm really, I've never seen that before, like when I've looked
Mhm,
at the card. So I'm
mhm.
just appreciating the new perspective.
I love that. I love that. And I'm also appreciating this comment, the power in the pause, right? Like,
Yeah.
and yes, 2023 is a chariot year. Yep. You got it. You got it right. So yeah, again, there seems to be, thank you to all of you joining in here. That's why we do this. There is this sort of messaging, right?
Hmm.
And with Mercury retrograde, it's really important to take a pause and reflect. We've got Pluto represented. We've got, Mercury, the messenger, the movement, and just really being clear as we end the year. And actually, I will say this is the last, I hadn't thought about this. This is the last cosmic compass for the year. So this is perfect, right?
Oh,
Cool. But
that's
we
really
are
cool.
supported, right, Jenna?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I love that. This is so good. This is why we do this. It's just really fun to deepen in together with this.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, you've got more there.
Just one more.
Okay.
The star.
Oh my gosh, how lovely. I love that. Which happens to be 17, which happens to add up to an 8, which happens to be next year. Normally I go with double digits, but I can I can meld things if I need to. So again, just really deepening into the image, the feeling, the knowing, just even the star. What does that mean? God, that's a beautiful card. I love that. Beautiful card.
Okay, also, Denise, I'm
Mhm.
just noticing this, but do you see these two pillars here?
I do.
There's also two pillars here,
Yes.
and there's two pillars here.
Oh, wow.
And that feels like it's all inside.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
interesting. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that. See, fun insights.
So like maybe on the outside there's
Mhm,
a lot, there's a lot
mhm,
happening.
mhm,
And to me, what I'm reading into the tower right now is attachment.
mhm,
Um and there's this like um message of like, I don't know, like going inward to see like what's real for you,
mhm, mhm,
and knowing yourself,
mhm.
to release the attachments to things that don't um,
100%. Yeah.
aren't serving you, because the star is such a replenishing card for me.
Oh, it's a beautiful card. I really appreciate it is a cleansing card traditionally. There is, and for our Vicky Noble, my other Vicky Noble fan,
Hmm.
she's probably aware of this too, that in the Mother Piece, it is very much about cleansing first and then stepping into your radiance.
Yeah.
So it feels like that's the energy we're in right now. We're in a cleanse time. Um, I really appreciate how you drew it inward, this is where the energy is. And this is where we come from and where we're going to create from. And the star really speaks to that.
Hmm.
And agreed, building new structures, collective pillars of beauty. That's a beautiful way to say it. Gorgeous. So, having this backdrop, one of the things that I'm very aware of today, just because, again, I've been interacting with people already today, is that there's a lot of challenge in the world, and there is a lot of fear that finds its way into the collective. Can you hold up your cards again, Jenna? One of the ways to work with fear is to look at exactly what those cards show, honestly. Gathering in the circles, sharing the joy, feeling where your power is, and creating from a place of depth and understanding, empathy, love. I'm just really going into that star energy, um, and confidence. And understanding all of that as a way to navigate the challenges of our time.
Mhm.
So,
I also
yeah.
feel like what's coming up for me is like what's stronger now than it ever has been.
Mm-hmm.
You know, while things are crumbling, what is also strengthened?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's the bond of
Mm-hmm.
our like circles. That's the bond. That's
Yeah.
the remembering of our ancient
Yes.
wisdom. That's the
Yes.
awakening of our power. Like that is stronger now more than ever. And I'm thinking about the like polarization always. I'm always thinking
Yes.
about like, okay, well, if we're working on this spectrum, what's the
Yes.
other end of it? You know,
Yeah.
so
Yes.
so like I'm thinking about that too a lot as you're talking.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that. And I'm just really 100% on board with what everyone is saying here, what you've just shared. There's a depth to this, and you and I have had some pretty powerful tea and tarot experiences here, which
Mhm.
blew our minds. And I think just this gathering, this just coming together, even if people are listening or watching later, this makes all the difference. This does, because ultimately we need to replenish and nourish and connect in order to continue to go out into the world to do and be all that we can, for the future, which is, here now. So, as it turns out. Yeah. I'm going to pull one more card, just from the Light Seers, kind of our last card for today. And it's a thoughtful card. I'll just say that up front. It's the Queen of Swords.
Mm. Mm. Mm-hmm.
So very, very, again, just it's interesting, the tremendous amount of power that I'm feeling in all of these images, right? Whether it's the image of a tower card or the image of a woman holding space, such as in the Chariot or in the Star, or the thoughtful reflection here of the Queen of Swords. Just really incredible images of empowerment and reflection. And I feel leadership in this one too.
Mm-hmm.
You know how you were saying sometimes you see new things?
Yes.
For
All
the
the time.
first, yeah, it's interesting. I have no idea what this is, but in my mind, I'm seeing to me, it's a singing bowl in the corner here. Let me see if I can. You see that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not really sure what it is, but that's what I'm seeing today. There's a singing bowl in the corner of whatever she's sitting on.
It looks like the bull's in jail.
It does, here's my theory. Would you like to know what I think?
Yeah.
I think she is floating on her special magic cushion, a la the magic carpet, but it's on the water and it's just secured.
Ah.
Like
I like
if you're in a boat and
Yep.
it's there so it doesn't fall out. That's my theory.
Okay.
So
I
being
love
prepared,
like that more
feeling
than
secure. Yeah, well, I mean, I honor where you went with it. And it's all good. I
what it
just,
looked like.
feeling secure or whatever, but it is a bit constricted for sure. But that's what I was seeing. Now it could be anything, but see, Heather is, oh, sorry for mentioning names, but yes, other people agree with you. And maybe we could, look from all the perspectives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we think about the traditional like meaning of the Queen of Swords, it's very much, you know, like honoring our emotions, but not necessarily making decisions from that space, or making
Yeah.
emotional decisions, but like
Right.
respecting it, very
Yes.
much respecting it. So like
Yes.
having it at your disposal,
Yes.
right? But it's not necessarily the thing that she's
Yeah.
holding, but
Yes.
it's there for her to access.
Yes. Exactly. And someone also said, there's two columns
Balance.
or two.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that energy. Yeah. Thank you for that. Now, in these specialty and tarot, I often look to share what was shared by the author of these cards, Chris Han, because I really do like it's like Danielle Noel's book. There is some gems that are just totally worth everything. I love it. I speak with wisdom and clarity. So that's where she took it. Now we can go anywhere we want to be, and there's obviously a lot of lot more here in the booklet, but this is again that leadership. And there is an if we kind of move through, it just feels like this, the creating of compassionate circles, creating of um circles of sensitive people, right? And being able to thoughtfully, mindfully, that's a very sword word, bring it forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. Anything else, Jenna, you want to add? Because I mean, your insights are profound. So if there's anything moving through, I want to hear it.
I mean, as are yours. And this is just for the week ahead, correct?
Yeah, just for the week. Although
Week ahead.
maybe the next two, because I'm not doing this. So
Yeah,
through the end of the year, because I'll be back on January 1st. So it literally could be,
a little bit of a solstice reading of sorts.
yeah.
I would say I think the key themes are really important for
Mhm,
me. So I'll just say the single words that are coming to me, but replenishment,
mhm,
self-care,
mhm,
um, grace,
mhm.
and curiosity.
I like it. Love it. Okay, I'm curious about something.
Mm-hmm.
Why did they take the U out when they spelled curiosity? I mean, I know why is curious? I know there's an us and it's an English language, but I, as a child, found it very challenging to go from the word curious to curiosity without the U. Not that it phonetically belongs there, but it is interesting to me.
Oh, like Curious, like that second U.
Right, the second one, sorry, not the first one.
Okay.
Yes.
No, well, I'm a notoriously horrible speller. So
Oh
so
no, we call that creative speller.
oh, I'm a creative speller.
Yes, we call that a
Yeah.
creative speller.
So that's a great question. And I don't have answers. All I know, speaking of things that shift and change, is that language is always ever evolving. And so maybe it comes back one day. We don't know.
Ooh, I don't know, but so this is a good segue while I'm getting the random name picker. Oh, but we'll just say that do the um I'm not gonna do the raffle on the YouTube though, so I'll remember to undo that in a minute. But let's talk about words. Can we just say real quick, can you just talk about like what you're doing with words right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm writing? Is that what you were talking about?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yes. Yes. I was like, words.
yeah.
Well, no, I'm writing, I have written two books. And so I'm revising. One is a fiction book, and then the other one is a nonfiction book. And let's just say it's a retelling, put it that way. A retelling of a nonfiction classic that I wanted to do differently.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. More to be revealed in 2024.
Yeah.
Okay, more to be revealed. All right, before I go off, before we stop recording, January 13th, save the date if you want to come to the Wheel of the Year. So in the Wheel of the Year, we do a little of this, but we also hold space for you to do your own pull for the
Yeah.
year.
So
Yeah.
you'll do an individual card for each month, and then you'll have time to ask us questions, to reflect on the cards.
Mhm,
You'll write your reflections.
mhm.
And then, Denise, do you want me to share like or should I share during the workshop, the post wheel?
We'll share more. Yeah, we'll share more later. Well, you're going to come back on in January before we do it anyway. So,
Yeah. So,
okay. All right. Yay. I'm so excited.
Woo.
Oh, yay. That's exciting. This is so fun. All right. I'm going to stop the recording. Thank you to everyone.